Good evening, and welcome to this edition of In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. I'm Eric Marsh, Executive Director of Whitewater Community Television. Glad you're able to join us for this hour. Well, we hope it's going to go that long. It's one of those things. We get these wild hairs periodically, and then we try to follow up. Ryan Harris, my director, and I have been talking for a number of years now that we should figure out a way to do a Christmas show. We think it would be nice. We did one years ago before In Focus was PI Live, I think. We had Santa Claus come in and we did some things. We always get to the end of the election season and we're into volleyball, we're into basketball, and it gets to be this time of year and we go, we ought to, and realize that we never really have enough time to really think about it and put it together. So we did kind of a half thing. We put it out there on our social media site asking for some local not-for-profits who maybe had some things coming up where they were helping the community and wanted a little bit of publicity. And we would come in and we would talk to them for a little bit. We didn't have a number of them take, but we did have two, and we're going to speak to them coming up in just a little bit. But first, this time of year, there is always a lot going on. We never get it all in. So part of what we're going to do with the show is remind you of some of the holiday events that are going to be taking place. We're going to start with one that's actually going on right now. But no, don't leave home. Stay, watch this show, and then you can go. It is the annual Salvation Army Christmas Party. This year it is in the Leland Ballroom, which I'm sure is a great place to watch that show. It features a lot of performances from local talents, school kids. This year's show is being dedicated to the memory of Gil Miller, who performed at the Salvation Army Christmas show for a number of years. And you can also tune in to ESPN 1490 and 100.9 WKBV if you would like to hear that show. It is going on right now. Also taking place, Art for the Holidays. It started November 7th. It's going through January 4th. That's at the Richmond Art Museum. You can go to richmondartmuseum.org if you need some information. The historic Richmond Depot District continues 2 more Tuesdays, December 10th and the 17th from 5 to 9 each evening. That is in its 15th year. Also going on, the 5th annual Depot Festival of Trees is taking place. Their theme is Christmas Past. That's actually in the Depot building. You can go on the 10th and actually vote for your favorite tree. And then on the next Tuesday, the Depot Christmas Festival of Trees is not going on, but they are going to have kind of a pop-up market happen in the Depot. So if you get a chance, go down the Depot building, 900 North East Street. And the last one for this segment, there is a holiday country store taking place Friday from 12 to 6 at the American Legion Post 65. That's 109 North 6th Street. Holiday accessories, baskets, decor, lots going on. There's a phone number there on the screen if you want some more information on that. We will do a few more things coming up in just a little bit, and also near the end of the program we'll remind you of as much as we can get in of the events that are coming up at the various places. But I want to start by speaking with him. When the camera goes to him, there'll be, if you've seen my director, Ryan Harris, you're going to think I'm talking to him. There's a strange resemblance going on. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Pastor Kendall Harris with Bethesda Worship Center, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Well, it's a pleasure, and I want to say thank you so much for having us just to help us publicize what we're doing.
What you're doing has been going on for how long, actually?
Well, it's had a couple of different names that we've entitled it with, and it's been several years now. We actually started with a small thing that we did called Faith in Action, and we just took a couple of families and tried to provide a Christmas for them. They weren't going to be able to, so we tried to do that. And from that very modest beginning, we've developed and continued to grow it, and actually, at this point now, we are at the point that our entire church gets involved in some way.
Nice.
In this Christmas season, and it's just been a process of learning from last year, doing something different next year, and just figuring out the best way to do it.
Christmas to Go is
Yes.
the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
You are actually providing meals for people
Yes.
on Christmas Day.
Yes, that's. I have to admit, when I was presented with the idea first, they came and said, we'd like to do this on Christmas Day, and I was very reluctant, I will admit.
Okay.
Because Christmas Day has almost been a sacred, that you don't do anything, as far as a church is concerned, you don't do any planning on Christmas Day because nobody's going to come. Mm-hmm. And so when it was first presented to me, I will admit I was quite hesitant and reluctantly said, okay, we'll do it and we'll see how it goes. And I was absolutely floored and very pleasantly shocked that people wanted to do something for someone else on Christmas itself.
And it happens from when to when. Let's do that. Now, you're taking reservations, I think, for meals now.
We are taking reservations. If someone wants to have a meal, they can call to the church. The phone number is 765-939-2975. They can request it that way, or they can go online. This year we've added another dimension.
Oh, nice.
And they can go to our webpage, which is just mybwc.org. And there is a link that they can just push the button, and it will take them to another page, so to speak. And they can either become a volunteer, or they can become someone who's requesting a meal. Whichever they choose there, then it takes them and they can fill it out, and then we get that information back. But we're actually taking names for volunteers and or someone who needs a meal that day right now, all the way up to Friday, December the 13th.
Okay. And let's break those two things down just a little bit if we can. Let's start with the volunteers.
Okay.
These are people, a number of them I assume, are from your church, but you're opening this up and allowing community members to assist.
Yes.
How many people does it take to actually pull this off?
That was the part that really, after we got moving in this, that really pleasantly surprised me. We probably have somewhere between 200 to 250 volunteers.
Wow.
That come from our church, from different churches. There's some that I don't know if they have a church, and we don't, that's not a stipulation by any means.
Sure.
But they have just found out about it and wanted to become involved in reaching out and touching someone on Christmas Day. There was one example I'll give from I think it was either last year or the year before. We had a family come in. They had the children, they had the mom and dad, and they had the grandparents. And all three generations came in and wanted to be involved, and it was on Christmas Day. Mm-hmm. So they were not only, celebrating Christmas for their own family, but they said, we want to start, and actually I spoke to them, they said, we want to start a tradition in our family of doing something for someone else on Christmas. And so we have anywhere from 200, 250 different volunteers. We have people that need to help in the kitchen. Of course, there's always, because we're making a meal. We have people that are called runners that are running food from one place to the next and just doing odds and ends. We have general help people. We have drivers and delivery people that are going to actually get the meals in the to-go boxes, and they take them to the people in the city, and they deliver them. We have serving line people that are dishing the food out of the containers, and the different things that they've got to do and putting them into the to-go boxes. And it's really quite a logistical setup. I'm one of many people that work with it, I should say. But it's just a pleasure, because when you get involved with it, it's not as much of a chore as it is you just have fun being with other people, being with, of course, maybe your family, being with an extended family, of course, of just people that want to reach out and touch people in Richmond.
Are you finding people doing this for multiple years? Have you had people
Yes.
8, 10 years, whatever it is?
Yes, we've had people that they actually set aside time that they will take that day if they're not off from work. They've actually taken time off from work, and said, we're going to take at least a couple hours, carve out 2 hours from the work schedule. We're going to come over and do this, and then we may go back. And we do that. We understand that somebody may not be able to give the entirety of the day, because we'll start somewhere around 6 o'clock on Christmas morning in the kitchen, just stirring things.
Are you cooking these meals?
We actually have been cooking since Thanksgiving or before. And then what the ladies have been doing, they take the meat off of the turkey and off the bone and put it into bags, and then it's been frozen, and they take the air out of them. There's a process there.
Yep.
I'm not sure
vacuum
what it is.
Sealing, it's
sealing,
all
yes.
good.
And freeze it and get it ready. And so we have somewhere, I don't remember the exact number of turkeys. I think it's somewhere around 130 or 150, somewhere between 130 and 150 turkeys that we've already cooked. And they're starting to come out and starting some of the preparations. Sunday, December 22nd will be a preparation day in the kitchen. Then on that Christmas morning, probably about 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, there'll be people in there, what we call them the stir team. They're going to stir the mashed potatoes, the green beans, all of the different stuff that go in there, keep everything good and ready to go. Then there'll be other people that come in at a later time, say about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and they'll start to get ready to serve it. We have drivers that start coming in and getting ready, and then there's runners that come in and people that pack it and get it ready, and they take it to the driver, and the driver gets the directions of where to go. And so it sounds like a complicated mess, but it's just a lot of fun.
It sounds like you all have gotten this down almost to an art and a science.
Well, I will say that we have had a tremendous amount of people that have just stepped up and have helped us. I certainly am not going to take the credit personally.
Sure.
I get to be a face on it perhaps, but there are a lot of people that just get together, and we've been meeting probably for 2 or 3 months now on ideas. What do we need to do? How do we do this? And just logistical meetings, leadership meetings, and such as that. Because this is, as far as Bethesda is, this is one of our biggest outreaches to the city that we've centered in on. We have opportunities to do a lot of other things, and we do many, but this has become kind of a signature one for us that we just look forward to and have fun.
How do you get all of the food in? Is it donated from places? Are you saving money and taking up special offerings to purchase it? How does that work for you?
We do have some donations. There are some things that come in like that of food items or whatever that we can use. What I will say is we've had a lot of the different industries and companies within the city that have actually put it into, I don't know if it's in their budget, but they will automatically give in to write a check to us, and we'll take it and we purchase foods, or we purchase the things that we have to have. One of the things that we've been very proud, I'm going to say proud, we've been proud of the fact that we have not gone to our congregation and actually asked for money. We get outside donations, so that what we do, especially this year, we've changed a little bit. We've asked our congregation to make up about 260 dozen cookies. And from that, we're going to put cookies, Christmas cookies.
Okay.
And we're starting that now that we know some people are getting into the holiday baking.
Yes.
And so we're saying,
it's happening in my house.
Bake us a couple dozen and bring them in. Let us put them into the meals to give to somebody on Christmas Day.
Nice.
And so,
on the flip side of that, those people that are having meals delivered to them, their process is then just to go to the website. And this is not, as I understand it, they're not coming to you to have meal. They get to stay at home.
Absolutely.
And do this. It is brought to them.
Yes, we deliver to them in their house. We started with the mentality that there were some folks that would not be able to get out.
Sure.
We have some different facilities in the city that they have a limitation on how they can get out to go get things. And so we wanted to bless those especially. So we developed our plan or I should say accordingly, that we wanted to take it to them. We weren't asking them to do anything. There are no restrictions as far as, you have to make under this amount of money. If you call us and tell us you want a meal, we're going to, as long as it's before the date, I should say
Right.
that. And we do have a limited amount.
Okay.
We have 1,400 meals that are set aside for this year. Of that, if you get your name in, we're not going to ask you, well, how much money do you make? Are you on this program or that? We're just going to say, God bless you. We'll be somewhere between 10 and 12. We'll try to get your meal to you. And it'll be as hot as we can get it so that you can have that meal for that day.
You hear about this a lot at Thanksgiving. Christmas that's kind of a new twist on this, I think.
Well, that was one of the reasons why we tried to do Christmas is there are other places that do Thanksgiving. And we've been called and asked, are we going to do Thanksgiving? And I've always said, no, there's already places that are doing that. And we will try to redirect you to them so that you have that meal. But that's, of course, maybe that was my old pastor coming out, not thinking too much of doing stuff on a Christmas day itself. And yet at the same time, like I said, I've just been absolutely very pleasantly surprised that people have said, you know what, to me, the meaning of Christmas is that God gave his son as a gift. And so giving is intricately intertwined within the whole Christmas mentality.
Okay.
And so we will give to them and take it to them.
You've mentioned some of the other outreach that you do in the community. I'm curious, are you finding going out as a church and doing social outreach a little bit more difficult now than maybe 15, 20 years ago based on people's fear of being approached or things like that?
Yes. I'll say that the church has needed to, it is, and it still needs to adjust its vehicle, so as to speak, to get the message of Jesus out. There's been others that have said it this way. I say it myself this way. The message doesn't change, but the vehicle you drive certainly does. When I was a child, I remember we had a station wagon. And I had to sit in the back seat, the very, very back seat, looking the opposite way. But, vehicles have changed.
Right.
We have social media. We have a lot of different things that we can employ now, and we need to employ. One of the things that has helped us as a church is we have partnered up with other churches in the city to do outreaches. Okay. And I think what that has done is it has lessened some of the community's fears of being approached, because it's more of this is several different churches doing this, so it's not one that's trying to monopolize something or other.
Okay.
For example, we join with several, I'm not even sure how many churches do it now, but several months ago, before school started, on 10th Street, there was it was called the Back to School Bash.
Right.
And we joined.
I hear that's an event that has grown a lot over the last few years.
Absolutely. And we joined with different churches. I mean, we joined with another church, and we provided socks for children. Okay. I think between the both of us, there was about 500 or 600 pairs of socks that we gave out on that day. And so a lot of the mentality has had to shift in order to continue to reach a shifting culture.
You've been doing outreach for a while. Are you finding in this area the need greater, or have you obviously it ramped up probably after the recession. Are you finding the need going down? Is it remaining the same? What are you finding when you're doing things like your Christmas meal and some other outreach that you're doing?
In regards to Christmas, I don't know that we have seen any kind of fluctuation, because we don't ask any kind of questions regarding their need. If you just say you want a Christmas meal, maybe you just can't go home, and you feel kind of ostracized at that point, but you would still like to have at least some kind of human contact. Well, we're not going to ask you if you have enough money to go get your own, or you can make your own. If you ask us for it, we're going to do it. So in that respect, I don't know that we have ever tried to judge if it's going up or down. We've just said, we're not going to put that into our criteria.
Okay.
That's not part of the equation. I will say that I think the needs of the city have shifted.
Okay.
They've shifted in what is being needed.
In what direction?
I don't even know that I could put a finger on that pulse. I will say that there is just a shift. I don't think Richmond is unique in the fact that it's shifting like any other city is. Sure. There's intrinsic needs that we have that may be somewhat different than another city, but they're still, you could group them in the same area or the same family. Okay. I think that there are some issues that we see as far as church that are shifting because it's a shift in the culture. It's not a shift in Richmond. It's just a shift in the culture. And culture is as much in Richmond as it is in any place in the United States.
Is that shift because of do you think more movement of people? How people see, I don't even want to say the church, but religion? Has that been part of that shift? Because there seems to have been, even more so over the last number of years, a shift from people being part of a denominational church to a non-denominational church. They don't want the constraints that come with that organization.
Right. And I think I will say yes, and yet at the same time I'll say no, because it's a very complex situation or culture that we face. I'm not going to put everything into this basket, but media, as far as the way we connect with each other, has shifted how we see or perceive our world now.
Okay.
I've said it this way, that we are so connected digitally now that we're disconnected personally.
Sure.
You can go into a restaurant and people be across the table from each other and they're both on their phones doing
Yes.
something different. And it's comical to me because why are you going to dinner with them if you're not going to talk to them? On the other side of it, I realize I'm of a different era. But one of the things that the church needs to and is, I will say that there's positive movement there, is we need to be aware of that fact and allow the process for us to open our doors up digitally as well as physically. Okay. There are people now that connect with churches online, maybe more so than physically. And you can go online and watch a good sermon, a good praise and worship, session or whatever you want to call it. You can watch a good church. I mean, they're very good, and never have left your couch.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's wrong. It's different. Mm-hmm. And now the only thing that I think is lacking in that is then there is the lack of community. Okay. You don't have that community where you just have someone that you face and talk with. And so
people get used to seeing you. People care about you. They care about your family. They watch your kids grow up. Okay.
It's if I read your Facebook post about how that you lost someone a week ago to death, I may have a moment of empathy, but if I'm face to face with you, now I have an encounter with empathy. All right. And so there's a difference. And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. Right. It's different. And so we have to, by necessity, evolve in that. What I will say is that I think Richmond, like any other place, is having to grapple with that and having to say, okay, how do we utilize it and take strengths from it, and yet at the same time not lose some of the values that we already have?
As a pastor, You have a building, brick and mortar, same as a retail outlet. Do you have a fear of that online removing itself financially from the building that you have to maintain in order to have your church as it stands?
I don't know if I'll call it a fear. I will say it's always a concern, because if you have a brick and mortar building, like you say, there are financial constraints. You know, you're going to have, even if you own the building, there's maintenance.
Sure.
So there always are those things that you have to be concerned with. I think, though, that we are just having to navigate waters that perhaps we haven't navigated before, and that's why it's just incumbent upon pastors, churches, or whatever you want to say, even in the retail, they have to find ways of adjusting. I mean, you across the nation, you see department stores and malls that are closing because people aren't going to them as much. They go online to shop. Okay, well, you have to, instead of throwing up your hands, you have to say, okay, well, how do I adjust to this? How do I adapt? How do I take the good and make it better? And what's not right, well, okay, how do I either fix it or put it on the back shelf and say we may look at that another time? That probably is the constant, I think, in pastorate, in the pastoral ministry. Is it's certainly not what it was like when I started. I've been in ministry for over 40 years, and you know, there's been this complete shift. But if you want to stay in it, I mean, if you were doing being the manager of a store, you're going to have to adjust.
Right.
There's going to be things that you have to adjust in order to maintain and continue to be viable. I think the process is trying to figure out what can I let go of that may have been a sacred cow that maybe isn't mooing anymore. Okay. You know, and so instead of continuing to feed it to see if it will moo, how do I develop a new thing that doesn't leave the message of Jesus, but at the same time it's something that's appealing and what people are actually involved with right now.
Pastor, we are out of time. Christmas to Go is the name
Yes.
of it. The date that people need to sign up for if they want a meal is?
December the 13th by 5 p.m.
And they need to go to?
They can go to the website mybwc.org, or they can call the church at 765-939-2975.
And they are still taking information for people if you'd like to volunteer and help out.
Absolutely, we'd love it.
This is a great program. Thank you very much for spending some
Thank
time
you.
with us.
Thank you so much.
We are going to take a break, come back, provide you with a little bit more information as to what's going on during this holiday season, and speak with Lucinda Wright of Townsend Center. That's coming up as we continue with In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV, Channel 11. Keep up with local government information and shows with WGTV Online. Go to WCTV.info and click on the WGTV Online button. It's a live stream and video on demand site in one. Click the play button, you'll see whatever's on the air on WGTV Channel 11, or scroll down for videos on demand. Choose whatever meeting or show you'd like to watch. It's easy to stay informed with WGTV Online, a service of Whitewater Community Television.
Well, let's see if we can't get someone on here.
Hi, how can I help you today?
My dad is really sick, and I just don't want to take him out in this weather.
Okay, let's get him feeling better.
Receive quality care in minutes, even in the middle of the night. Read Health Now, right beside you.
Welcome back to this edition of In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. I'm Eric Marsh, Executive Director of WCTV, and we will be speaking with Dr. Lucinda Wright about Townsend Community Center in just a moment. But a couple of things I want to remind you about. Mentioned there's a number of things going on through the holiday season, particularly coming up this weekend. The Christmas tree lighting for the city of Richmond is going to take place actually tomorrow evening, 6:15 in Elstro Plaza. I'm trying to think of what tree is big enough for them to light. Could be interesting. So go out and actually enjoy that. And then immediately following is the parade, the downtown holiday parade, using the theme A Christmas Carol. Starts at 7 o'clock. It'll take place along East Main Street from 5th to 10th Street. The Rosemary Weigel 5K, Frostbite 5K is going to be on Saturday evening at 5 at Glenn Miller Park. A nice run through the park with thousands of luminaries, and proceeds go to benefit free summer programs at the park. And then following that, the runners will go away, the luminaries will stay. There'll be concessions available, horse-drawn wagon rides as they celebrate the celebration of lights from 6 to 9 in Glenn Miller Park. It's always a very nice evening. And if you aren't finished by then, you can watch us glow in Centerville. That's being brought to you by Main Street Centerville. That's Saturday the 7th, beginning at 7:30. Lots going on there. They've had a parade in past years. Not sure exactly what all they'll be doing, but go over to Centerville and check that out. Talking about things going on through this holiday season, is this the first time that you all have done this?
The dinner, no. We did it back in 2016.
Okay. People always go, why does he do that? He doesn't tell us what he's talking about. I just kind of threw a question out there. It is Restoring the Rose and Townsend Community Center, Inc. presents Christmas Dinner, bringing the community together. December 22nd, Restoring the Rose. Not familiar.
Restoring the Rose, a young man by the name of Tremaine Brown. He is a Townsend Community Center, Inc. brat.
Okay.
I like to refer the alumnus to as being our brats. And he's in the military. So he and some of his military friends, along with Townsend, he talked with Townsend about doing it, and wanted to do it again this year. So with the building being under renovation, we're unable to have it there. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do it at the National Guard Armory this year. So we're excited about that.
Nice. Our guest is Dr. Lucinda Wright with Townsend Community Center. Appreciate you taking the time to be here.
Appreciate the time.
Tell us a little bit about the dinner.
It's at no
reservations?
Cost. No reservations. It's at no cost to anyone who wants to come and partake and fellowship with other community members.
Really?
Yes. We're giving away coats, hats, gloves, some shoes and boots, some toys. This is part of Townsend's legacy, to give back, to help the community, to fellowship. And we're excited that we are able to bring it back this year. The last time we were in there, he had said that there were over 400 people. There were over 400 people, mm-hmm. But in stepping back and looking back that particular night, I honestly believe that there was about 800 people that came through that door.
Wow.
So, and everybody was fed. We gave away Christmas dinners, turkeys with all the fixings, ham with all the fixings, lots of toys, lots of food, and we had lots of volunteers.
I imagine it would take a lot of volunteers to pull this off.
Yes, it does. It does.
Okay, let's take a step back then.
Okay.
And we'll do what I did with my last guest. For those who want to volunteer, are you still needing volunteers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, for the dinner, yes, we are.
How do they contact you, and what do they tell you when they do?
They can call 765-3 373-9012.
Okay.
If I don't answer, because I'm not there every day, but I do check my messages every day, and say that they want to volunteer and what time they're available to volunteer. If they're able to volunteer all day, from 5 until whenever it's over, just let us know. And when they get
when is
there,
it
we'll
over?
assign as soon as everybody gets finished and everybody leaves. Usually it's about 4 or 5 hours. So we
Okay.
could be there as late as 10.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what do you need people to do?
Serve food,
Okay.
man the clothing area where the things are being given away, the toys where the toys are being given away, and refreshing drinks, and to just smile and be ready to share some of that Christmas holiday magic.
December 22nd, 5 p.m. until
Everybody's done.
they're done. How do you do this? Are you needing donations? Is it covered by, how is this covered?
We have,
Because you don't know how many people are going to come through that door.
no, we don't. But we always have enough food. It's interesting. God blesses us and let us have enough food for everybody that does come through that door. So donations, Restoring the Rose, they make a lot of donations. Townsend, we make donations. The board, our board members always donate to the events that we have. People in the community, some grocery stores, some department stores. We are looking for donations from everyone.
Okay.
No donation is too small.
If someone is wanting a meal that night, their obligation is to just show up.
Show up.
Okay.
It's as easy as that. Just show up. And the donation can be, and the donation does not necessarily have to be monetary. If you have a turkey or a ham that you want to purchase and donate, cook and donate, by all means.
Okay. You've got people preparing
Yes.
already,
Yes.
working on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do. Tremaine Brown is part of the Deloney family. That's a large family, and they do a lot for us and with us at Townsend Community Center. Yes.
We'll come back and remind people about this. I want to ask you about Townsend Community Center.
Okay.
Because obviously, and you've mentioned it, the building is closed, and the building has been closed now for maybe a couple of years? Year and a half?
September 1st, 2017, I believe it is. Yes.
Okay. The question that was out there, and I'll say that I even asked it, how do you separate the name, Townsend Community Center, Inc., because that's what you're calling yourselves, from the brick and mortar building? For me, someone who didn't grow up here, that was one thing. The name was on the building, and that went together. So when I heard that Townsend Community Center, Inc. was still operating, my question was, how?
Okay, well, this is how. First of all, we not ever stopped operating. The building is closed, but what we need to remind ourselves that Townsend Community Center, Inc. is a living, breathing organism. It is an organization. Townsend Community Center, Inc. is not just the board. It is Richmond community, Richmond Wayne County community. It is a community center. As a matter of fact, it is the oldest community center in Richmond Wayne County. For the longest time, it was the only community center in Richmond Wayne County. It was established back in 1921 because it was born out of necessity. And not only born out of necessity, but it was born out of racial fusion because there were a group of forward-thinking men and women, black and white, who came together and said, we need to have an inclusive community center where people can go who are not allowed in mainstream education, finances, recreation, and that sort of thing. And that is how Townsend Community Center was birthed. That's how it came to be. Their dream, they made it come to fruition. So based upon that legacy, there's no way we can quit. The building is closed, but the agency never did close. We continued operations.
As a 501c3.
501c3.
Where are you operating from?
Well, a lot of agencies have opened up their doors. For instance, Richmond Community Schools. We operate our after school, our Harambe, which means all pulled together. We operate that after school program at Crestell Elementary School, Monday through Friday. When the kids get out of school, they can come to our after school program. And they are fed us a healthy snack and a healthy meal. So, and they get homework assistance, tutoring if needed. They take violin lessons, horseback riding lessons, guitar lessons.
You're not horseback riding around Crestell School, are you?
No. We actually go to Sunrise.
Okay.
Therapeutic Riding Center. We go there, and they're taught how to care for a horse, how to properly ride a horse, how to properly feed the horses, and they enjoy it. The children enjoy it, and the violin lessons, Richmond Community Orchestra, they come in once a week and teach the children how to handle once a week.
Okay.
How to handle the violins and how to play. And then they play with them in this year they played back in May in their spring concert, which was it was cute. And you could tell what they were playing too. So
that's always
it was really
a good
good.
thing.
Yeah, it was really good. It was good. They did really well. So
Nice.
yeah.
What you've got one or two other, you've got multiple programs.
Oh, yeah, we have
I will
multiple
say
programs.
I didn't know
Yes.
the number of programs that you've got going on. So figure if I don't know, there's one other person in the community that doesn't
You're
know.
absolutely correct.
So tell us a little bit about WOW, Women of Worth.
Women of Worth, that is to, as women, we try to be everything to everybody all the time. And a lot of times we don't take the time for ourselves. So Women of Worth, by the time they complete it's a seven session program during the summer, and it's held at Ivy Tech. By the time they have completed the program, they have set up their goals and how they're going to do those goals. We talk about a lot of things. We talk about, people talk about depression all the time. We talk about the reality of life and how to handle, the different means. And by the time they're finished, these ladies have become a family. So, they talk. Even afterwards, we meet quarterly and talk about how they are doing, if they've reached their goal for that particular time frame that they're in. This last time, the first one was in 2018. We had a lady who was getting her citizenship. She was studying, and she was able to accomplish that with this, and the ladies in the group were very supportive of her. This year, the one that sticks out is a young lady. She purchased her first home. We do financial literacy, self-care, just information that will empower us to do what it is that we need to do to be healthy, not only physically, but mentally as well. So.
Community resource referrals. I think we were talking ahead of time, and you said, if we don't have it, we can help you find it.
We can help you find it, yes. So, I've had people to come and say, I don't have any clothes for my child. Where can I get help? Well, Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist Church is a church that I belong to. We have a clothes pantry. Every Thursday, it's from 10 to 12. All they have to do is show up. And sometimes they even, not only do they leave with clothes, but they sometimes leave with food as well. Someone needs help with, say, looking for an apartment or how to even apply. Some people don't even know how to apply for subsidized housing. I also volunteer for Richmond Housing Authority, for HACR. So I just send them right across the street to HACR to apply for housing. We get a lot of calls for a lot of different things. Jobs,
Yep.
job referrals. I have a gentleman from, he's going to kill me. I can't think of the name of the factory out in Cambridge City. Not Dot Foods, but the other one. Sugar Creek. Sugar Creek, yes. The recruiter from Sugar Creek, he comes in and he calls me from time to time and says he's got openings, and I refer people to him. So that's, we do that. Parenting,
Not an easy job.
No, it's not, because, they don't come down that birth canal with a manual. Children don't. So, I've had people to come and ask, so I do parenting classes. That's another thing that, another program of Townsend's, we provide parenting classes. And if it's something more that they need, then I will refer them elsewhere as well. So we talk about addictions. We have a lady on our board, young lady on our board, Miss Robin Cruz, who is the director of Peace LLC. And we also have a partnership and a collaboration with Centerstone. Centerstone did our youth drug education prevention program this past summer, which was a first for us. And it was amazing. We had an average of 17 children in that program. It was an hour and a half long, and it was for 6 weeks.
Wow.
And we averaged 17 children each session, and 14 of the children earned a gift at the end of the session, and that was a Dell or an HP laptop, 15.6-inch laptop with
Nice gift.
a carrying case. And they also were able to earn funds for attending the program. And we fed them. We feed everybody. We fed them lunch every day, too, each day that they came as well. And Centerstone Adolescent Addiction Services facilitated that program for us. And I had specifications as to what we wanted. Sure. And the lady that facilitated it, she said, I didn't read your email all the way through when I volunteered. I didn't read it until after I committed to do it. And had I read it, I would not have ever committed to do it. She said, because we did not want the clinical stuff. That hasn't worked. We didn't want the clinical stuff. I said, I want they need to know the raw truth of substance abuse. And they got the raw truth. And she said, I'm glad I did it. She said, because this was absolutely amazing. So it was great. The coroner came in and
Wow.
gave us some information, gave the children information. And we
What
even
was
had,
the age range for this?
it was supposed to be from 5th graders to 12th graders. Well, let me tell you, we had children as young as 5 years of age all the way up to high school in this program. And the child that was 5 totally understood. He had some concerns that he voiced. So it was interesting to the point that even some of the parents came to the program with the children. And the important thing out of that was there was dialogue from the children to the facilitators. And once they left the sessions, there was dialogue at home, because I've gotten some of that feedback, and I'm still receiving the feedback from the parents, that they were glad that their child participated and that we had that program. And as a matter of fact, all the kids that were there, we asked. We did surveys before and after, and one of the things that we asked was, would you refer your friends to this program? And they said yes. As a matter of fact, I saw a young lady that was in the program the other day, and I said, do you think you'll be coming back to the program, because we're going to do it again? She said, oh, yes. So
You talk about Townsend Community Center as a community center for Wayne County. Most people associate Townsend Community Center strictly with the North End.
not only with the North End, someone had told me that they thought that Townsend was a black center. I said, explain that to me. And I think what they got it from the history. Because when, back in 1921, like I said, African Americans, poor white people, immigrants, North Richmond, that's where they were housed at. That's where they, that's
Sure.
that's where we're at. And that's why those forward-thinking individuals said, hey, we need to do more than this. That's why Townsend was birthed. However, it has evolved with the times. It has constantly evolved. It has changed. I'm a Townsend Center brat. I call it my village. That was my village. Because when I got out of school, I went straight to Townsend. We had, like we have today, we had tutors, we got homework assistants, there were sports, recreation. I learned how to shoot pool at Townsend. I was just talking about this the other day. Kaylee Moore taught me how to shoot pool, and he taught me how to play ping pong. I was talking to his brother Woody, because Woody worked there too, about how Kaylee didn't give us any mercy just because we were kids. He didn't give us any mercy on that pool table or on that ping pong table. But that is who helped to mold me into the person that I am today. Townsend Center, my village. And I still look at that today, because I look at the children, I look at the parents of our children that we have in the program now. We had one parent to tell us last Christmas that we do too much for the kids. And I said, this is what we do. This is who we are. This is the legacy. We have Christmas for our children in the after-school program. We provide them Christmas gifts, and last year there was a group that we have partnered with. They make sure that the children at Wernley Home who stay at Wernley for the Christmas, that they have a Christmas dinner, they have a Christmas tree, they get Christmas presents, and we have partnered with them to make sure that this happens. We did, last year was the first time. That same group, they told us, well, we want to bless the children of the after-school program. So after they had the Christmas party at the after-school program, we delivered that Saturday before Christmas, we delivered additional Christmas gifts from this group as well. We got a police escort, Officer Tim Davis. He's wonderful with the children. He gave us a police escort with the lights and everything, and people that I knew that saw me driving behind the police. They were trying to figure out, what has she done? So it was myself and Miss Adria Deloney and her sister Kate. We made the deliveries, and then the Richmond Police Department, Officer Davis, presented gifts to the children as well. So the parents were they didn't mean it in a negative way. They were just overwhelmed and surprised of what all we do. And a lot of people are, when they find out what we do. We are still alive, operating, and serving our community.
We've only got a minute and a half left, and Ryan's going to go. You got less than that. But I have to ask. Townsend Center, the building, will reopen at some point.
Yes.
Do you, now that you're out, I mean, you've talked about the number of different places, do you reintegrate yourself back into that building, or do you stay out?
No.
Okay.
No. We go back.
Okay.
We go back. Yes, we go back.
Bringing more with you than when you left, maybe?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, like I said, the people that we've talked to, and they're just, Rancer Huntington of State Line Medical Equipment. He's like, he said, it's unbelievable the things that you guys do, that you're able to do. So, it's like we survive, and you asked us how we do. We survive on, first of all, I pray about everything. I ask God about everything. Because that's the only way I know to do what I do, because as a president, in a million years, I would not have ever thought that I would be the president of Townsend Community Center Incorporated's board. Not ever. Not ever been the president of anybody's board, so I don't know what I'm doing. So that's why I have to pray about it. And God has blessed us. We survive on grants, donations, volunteer. Our entire staff is made up of volunteers. So that's how we're able to do, by the grace of God, that's how we're able to do what we do.
And one more thing that they're going to be doing, Restoring the Rose and Townsend Community Center, Christmas dinner, bringing the community together December 22nd, starting at 5 p.m.
Yes.
There are no reservations being taken. Nobody has to call ahead. Show up, have a meal, have some fellowship. This is going to be at the Richmond National Guard Armory on West Main Street.
That is correct.
Dr. Wright, thank you very much for taking the time. I appreciate you coming in and talking with me.
Mr. Marsh, thank you for having me.
We are going to, over the next week or so, put out on our Facebook page a lot of the information that you've seen about events that have already taken place and events that are still to come for this holiday season. I thank you very much for watching this episode of In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. I wish you well.